All good. Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining me this morning, this evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you to Carlos in particular for staying up until 2:30 in the morning for this. My name's Steve Banbury. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And she has been here the whole time. She wanted to make a grand entrance. So teleporting to join me right now is my guest, 11-year-old VR art prodigy,
Hi.
Yasmin. Ta-da! She's been hiding in a secret chair above the big screen behind you. Yasmin, thank you so much for being with me today. I bet you're excited, but probably quite nervous.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to be here.
So Yasmin's never done anything like this before. She has been inside engaged with me a couple of times just as a demo, but this is the first time beyond a little bit of Rec Room where she's been in a multi-user VR experience. And not just any multi-user VR experience, because she's here to talk about herself. Just quickly though, for anyone that's in the room that isn't already connected with me, do check out my non-profit site. There's tons of stuff on there about VR and AR in education. And for those, again, those that are not familiar with me, this is not my first rodeo. I've been hosting events inside Engage since 2017. I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary in just about 6 weeks' time. I'm going to plan something enormous for that. So do keep your eyes peeled. And it is my absolute pleasure to have Yasmin here with me today. She is someone that I've been referring to quite often recently as my protege, although I do feel a little bit like the student has vastly surpassed the master at this point, and the stuff that she's doing with Tilt Brush is way beyond anything that I've ever been able to accomplish with this platform. But before we even talk about VR, Yasmin, obviously you were an artist before I even met you. So just tell us a little bit about your background with art before VR even came into your life.
So before I discovered VR, I did normal painting. I did painting, sketching with pencils and acrylics and watercolors, everything that I could reach.
So what sorts of things did you like to paint? Were you painting landscapes? Were you painting portraits?
I would love to paint faces in particular, and then I would love to paint landscapes and mythical animals, Everything that has magic in it, I would love to paint.
Yeah, you've always seemed to like, from the stuff that I've seen of your early work, you definitely like the fantasy element. Your elves and your unicorns and wings and things like that. It seems a bit crazy that I'm sitting talking to an 11-year-old about her early work, the pre-VR days. But there's definitely been a shift in terms of your medium. When you had the opportunity to try virtual reality for the first time. And we've got right here, this image is actually, oh, I think I'm joined by a space alien. This image is actually your very first ever painting from Tilt Brush, isn't it?
And this is my very first painting because I love drawing everything that can fly, like with wings and, butterflies and
Right, 1 second, Yasmin, sorry. I'm just going to unmute you again because we were getting quite a lot of feedback. Do you want to just give me that answer one more time?
So I love drawing dresses and everything magical. So when I saw that I can draw a dress in VR, I was like, why not give it a try? Because I always wanted to paint a dress, like actually in VR. So
Yeah.
then I gave it a try, and then I was really amazed by what came out.
So because obviously it's like creating something like this. Obviously, you could draw something like this on paper, but to create a sculpture like this, or to create this kind of thing in the real world, would be somewhat tricky, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because when you try to structure something, you have to look from all the sides, from the front, from the back, and even from the top sometimes. So
Yeah.
I really like to focus on top, sides, and everywhere when I paint, so it looks, accurate
Yeah.
and well presented when I show it to people.
I mean, this for me, this was a clear sign that I was very quickly going to be outclassed in terms of my own tilt brush skills. Considering this was the first time she'd even picked the app up, and this was within sort of 10 minutes of using tilt brush that she knocked this out. So then, this one was your second ever attempt at tilt brush, and this was something that. At this point, we were heading towards the VR art workshop that you helped me out with, which we'll talk about in a moment. So just like this one's obviously got a lot more going on than the previous one. So what can you tell me about this one?
So in this particular painting, this is exactly when I found like more control of particle effects and more brushes. So then I thought, let me try to draw everything and what I know and all the brushes that I experience with, draw them together. So to test out what I can do right now.
Yeah, and I remember watching you paint this because you actually, Yasmin was actually at my house when she did this one, and I remember like you started. I was like, oh, she's painting Elsa. She's doing a lovely, pretty Disney Elsa princess. And somewhere along the line, it kind of morphed, and suddenly it had tentacles and twisted trees, and everything was slightly darker. I think your style has definitely got a bit of an edge to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So moving on, as I mentioned, not long after I moved out of the classroom, I wasn't working for Jess Dubai anymore, and I set up my consultancy. One of the things that I'd started exploring was the potential for virtual reality art workshops, and I partnered with an art studio here in Dubai called the Jam Jar, long time educational institution, very well known and respected in Dubai, and we set up a kind of taster session at the end of 2019, when the plan was to host more events there in 2020. But obviously, with the way the world's gone, it's not actually viable right now. But I knew that I was going to have multiple headsets set up, and in fact, different types of headsets. We had a Vive Pro, we had an Acer mixed reality headset, we had my shiny new Oculus Quest, and I knew that I needed some support. And Yasmin very kindly offered to come and help me. You can see her in the picture at the top here. So what was that, Yasmin? Because suddenly, like not long after, you're only a couple of months into using Tilt Brush, and suddenly it was asking you to kind of be the teacher rather than the student.
I was really pleased to help other people draw in Tilt Brush, and I was really excited to see what people can do and how their imagery works in like Tilt Brush, because you have different particles, you have different brushes, and with that all, you can like make a very beautiful piece.
Yeah, and but everybody approaches it in a different way. I know what you mean. We got a real variety of sketches that day, and obviously we had different headsets on not on display, but we had different headsets in use that day. I think I know the answer, but which of those headsets was your favorite?
I love Oculus Quest because it's very light and very easy to control for me, while the Vive is quite heavy and quite big, and the controls are also giant for me. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
really hard to hold them and then draw because I really want to go, when you draw, you want it to be comfortable for you. When the Vive, it's not really comfortable for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm sitting in with my Vive Pro on right now, and I understand what you mean. Like the Vive controller that I've got in my hand here, if you compare that to a paintbrush, it is quite a clunky tool. And yeah, I understand what you mean in terms of the Quest. I think another thing that was great about using the Quest, you can see in that same picture in the top, that you were able to. We were mirroring the Quest, weren't we, to the iPad. And whereas for me to help someone that was using the Vive, I had to stand there staring at the laptop screen that the Vive was attached to, normally with the person behind me, but you were able to move around them, weren't you?
Yeah, so I was able to sit anywhere I want and watch them from any place. So if they were like standing on the left, I could be standing on the right, like far away from them, and watch what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah, I do think that was useful, and for those that believe that the mirroring, the casting from a Quest is unreliable, and I know Alex Johnson, I don't know if Alex is here, but I know Alex always bemoans the fact that he can never get the casting to stay on for more than a couple of minutes. We had it going quite consistently, didn't we? We had like quite a lengthy casting sessions. I think the only real problem we had with the Quest was that the battery ran out before we would have liked. So that was this was December 2019, wasn't it? So just before we go on with your story, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the artists that you have been inspired by, and I know that you have, you've watched their content on YouTube. So one person is Anna. I'm sure many of you know Anna Dreambrush. What is it that you like about Anna's work?
Anna's work is very fantastic. Like it's very detailed and very well presented, and she really inspires me to do the same. Because when I draw, I really try to make it the same as hers. Like the techniques and the way she presents it in front of others.
Yeah, okay. And another person that you are regularly, I know you're regularly watching content by and you enjoy content from is Rosie Summers, who paints under the name VR Rosie. So what is it that you like about Rosie?
Rosie uses a lot of brushes, and then the way she presents all the brushes together is really great and fantastic too. Because when you use all the brushes, they have to, like combine together to make a piece. So if
Okay.
you put like brush you don't know and brush you know together, it might not work out well. But then when you know how brushes work and how the tools work too, it will be a great piece.
That's amazing. Now, I've got a little bit of a surprise for you, Yasmin, that you didn't know about, and that's the fact that Rosie's actually here, and in fact, she's right next to you.
Hi, Yasmin. Oh, it's so good to actually meet you virtually at last. Thank you so much for saying all those beautiful things about me.
It's
I just want to say, actually, like you are absolutely amazing, and you've inspired all these minds in this room today. And yeah, you have a really, really bright future ahead.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I think she's a little bit tongue-tied. Is there anything you want to ask? You've got one of your own artistic idols sitting right next to you, Yasmin. What have you got any questions for her while she's here?
No, I just want to say you're very amazing.
Oh, thank you. So are you, Yasmin. Really, really amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us, Rosie. Just quickly.
No, I'd love to be here.
While I've got you here, obviously I feel a little bit like deja vu because Rosie was a guest on my chat show live from Dubai just last week, wasn't it?
Yes.
It seems like you managed to get into the session a lot more with a lot less friction than last week.
Yeah, I had those internet problems fixed.
I'm going to ask you a question that I actually asked you last week because I'm conscious we've got a different audience, and that is just this: how, as a professional virtual reality artist, how important to you is it to be inspiring the next generation, people like Yasmin, to pick up this new medium and create?
Oh, so important. I mean, this new generation of people pick up the tools so fast, it blows my mind. I've done countless workshops, countless VR demos, and all the time the adults in the room find it harder to understand. They take a lot longer to understand the tools, but give this fantastic medium to a superstar like Yasmin, and they just pick it up so fast and create really, really wonderful and beautiful spaces. And like, the younger you are, the better your imagination is, and
yeah,
they create some really, really amazing spaces that I'm always blown away with.
It's funny you say that,
because it really does mean a lot to be inspiring. I've
mentioned that in events before, the fact that I've put kids into Tilt Brush and it's like they just get it. They do instantly. Especially the litmus test I find is the snowman. If you put an adult in with a snowman and you say draw a face on the snowman, they draw a 2D face that's floating 6 feet away from the model, whereas the child will lean in and pull the nose out of the head. I think it's just
they instantly understand that space, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is indeed. Right, Rosie, thank you so much. I'm going to teleport you back to a comfortable seat in the crowd.
I look forward to watching the rest of me.
Surprise.
Thank you.
I thought you'd appreciate that. And Rosie is actually involved in an event in, I think it's about an hour, maybe an hour and a half's time. She's doing an interview as part of the Students in VR event. So do stick around for that later on today. So let me just go back to where we were on our story. And so many of you will know I've talked recently about the guest conference, and some of you will even know that this year it didn't go particularly well for me because it's when I broke my elbow. But for the second year running, I hosted and coordinated the immersive technology stage at the guest conference here in Dubai, which is the largest education conference in the Middle East. It was actually one of the very last conferences that took place before the lockdown, and as part of the lineup this year, I had coordinated with Yasmin to come and do some live demonstrations. And this was your first time painting in front of a live crowd, wasn't it?
Yes, I was very excited to be there. That was my first time showing people my artwork. And you know, I was kind of worried at the same time what people are gonna think about me. What are they gonna think about my art? And at the end, I always left with a smile because I was able to show people what I can do.
And what there must have been a degree of nerves as well, though, for the first time painting.
So, of course, it was worrying because, like I said, it was like really. 'Cause I don't know what they're gonna think about me. But when I got into the headset, I know that I didn't see any of these people. I just saw myself drawing.
Of course, yeah, that's one of the great things about VR, isn't it? You become completely insular, and you're not affected by the crowds that are around you. And I can tell you that on the first day in particular, she was supposed to paint on just the first 2 days. The crowds were so big that we managed to squeeze a bit of time in for her to come back on the third day and paint again. On the first day, the crowd was so big, the space was completely full, and you couldn't actually get around to the other stands and booths because we completely blocked the walkways. And another little shout out to my good friend Alex Johnson, who was over with me and staying with me for the event. And Alex obviously does a lot of great stuff with Tilt Brush himself, and he was the one that suggested, well, while she's painting, put some music on. So we blasted out some Ed Sheeran while she was painting. And in terms of what you painted, Yasmin, how did you prepare to like what you were going to paint?
So before we went to guess, at home I was preparing my painting, and then obviously the brushes that I was using, yeah, because they didn't have the audio reactive brushes. So when I put the music at guess, they became audio reactive.
Of course.
I didn't expect it to happen, but then I kind of like found a way to make it nice.
So you practiced for the performance on your Quest, but then you painted live on the Vive, because obviously
Yes,
that was the headset that we had set up and attached to the monitor at the event. We are getting a little bit of feedback from you, Yasmin. There we go. I do think it's your headset rather than anything else. Let me just mute you for 1 second. I will unmute you, I promise. So off the back of the guest conference and the success that you had there, I offered to help you set up your own YouTube channel, so you had somewhere to share your art more broadly. So so that was, I think, the first week of March. It was literally just after the guest conference, wasn't it? So tell us about your YouTube channel and the sort of stuff that you're sharing on there.
So when we were able to make my first YouTube channel, I wanted to inspire people like Rosie and like Anna Dreambrush. So when we set up my VR art, it really encouraged me to practice more and create my work even better. And after we have posted my works now, and I'm really looking forward to making my work even better and showing it to people and making them and inspiring people to do the same like me. So like, message that doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter where you are, you can do anything that you want to.
Oh, that's a fantastic message. And we've got some examples of your art on screen here. Now, like most artists, you've definitely got certain common themes that have emerged over as you've started to produce more content. And I think it really was since you got your Quest that you've started to produce a more consistent volume of content. But I mean, all of these have the same, although they're very different paintings, there's a consistent kind of bust shape to them, you know, like a head and shoulders. Is there something that led you to painting these kind of bust shapes?
Yeah, because when you paint face and their shoulders, it's kind of easier, so you don't have to construct their whole body. So when I don't really want to be like drawing the whole body, I just say I can just draw the shoulders and just show a bit of their torso. And then with showing that, you don't have to spend like a lot of time extra doing the body. But I also love drawing the body, but at the same time, the faces, because I really like to really look at the faces and really correct them at the same time when I finish. So if I don't draw the body, it really saves time to my faces.
Okay, so I mean, I have got one here, which is a more recent one of the full body, which is your cherry blossom one. So I'm just going to load this up and take a look at this one together. I'll drop the volume. Yes, I mean, if you wanted to talk about this, you're most welcome to.
So first I had inspiration to draw half of a face, but then I looked, it's not turning out right how I wanted. So I'm like, let's roll with cherry blossom because I never used the color red, and I really didn't have much experience with the red color. So I thought, why not give it a try? So I tried it, and then I thought cherry blossom was the right topic for it, and then I rolled with it, and it turned out how I wanted it.
I'm going to just pause it there. Now, one of the things that the images of your work that that we were looking at before, they don't do it justice, do they? Because you like to use as you mentioned before, these particle effects and bring your paintings to life. And you could see that in the cherry blossom one there. Is that something that you enjoy in particular about using VR as a medium?
Yeah, because when you add particles, it makes your drawing, more lively because it doesn't look, so still. It might look like a scene, like maybe they just paused. But when you add the particles, they make it more lively, like the scene is kind of moving.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll load up one more just for us to have another look at. Now, this is your Africa one. Again, I'll keep the volume quite low, so if you wanted to tell us anything about this, you're most welcome.
So this is a time when I was using a different brush, and then this brush is really hard to use, kind of, because it doesn't blend, the skin tone. So it kind of, looks like
It's like clay. And you're using the mirror tool, the mirror line tool there.
The mirror
Find that
really
useful.
Yeah, the mirror really saves time. So if you're drawing eyes, you just put the mirror tool and then draw the other eye, and then it'll be symmetrical, and that'll be the same. This is the time when I didn't really have much control over drawing bodies and hands. So this is not like the best of my hands and face drawings.
But I love that. I love the fact that you're saying that you recognise your own. Let me just drop the volume a little bit more. You recognise that your own limitations in terms of your inexperience with the platform, and you kind of roll with the punches and you adapt what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it better. So that time is when I'm drawing the face not so well. Now I'm trying to work on faces more, constructing them, with the actual shapes and features.
Just remember, folks, she's 11. And she's not only that good, but she's that conscious of her own ability and able to critique her own work and evaluate what she needs to work on. I wish I'd been that good at 11. I'm going to jump back onto the slide deck quickly, and we will watch one more before we finish. Some of you, the more eagle-eyed amongst you, will have probably noticed that there's actually one of Yasmin's. Just going to mute you for a second, Yasmin. We're still getting that feedback, unfortunately. You may have noticed that one of Yasmin's pieces is actually stood in the room with us, and a big thanks to Mike Armstrong, lead developer on Engage, for helping us out with this. You can see it stood behind Yasmin over here. It's actually a self-portrait that she published on her YouTube channel just recently. What we found this when we did this with Rosie last week for my Live from Dubai show, is that when you import the models into Engage, currently they tend to lose all their color, so it kind of looks a little bit ghostly stood there behind Yasmin. But we still wanted to include it. Yasmin, I'll unmute you again. So what was it about the self-portrait what made you want to do a self-portrait? In fact, look.
Because
Here we go. Let's stand it on the table.
Because I started to get in more control of faces and bodies, I thought draw myself because like I like to draw in VR, and because this is like we're doing an interview, I thought why not draw myself? You know, like show that I can draw bodies too and myself.
Yeah. And again, it highlights. Oops, I've picked up the palm olive. Do you want a drink? It highlights the fact that you are not just painting, that you are trying to improve as an artist. And I've got a few more up on the screen here, some of which have been published to your channel, and at least one of them there hasn't. These are all ones where it's not busts. So you've got the mermaid, the girl up in the top right hand corner. The bottom one was actually, I think that was a science project for you.
Yeah, it was my science project to create my own animal, and I'm like, why not make it in VR? Because then I can structure it out instead of building it in real life, and I can use all the particles effects to show,
Yeah.
like to show like what can happen to it.
And it was a sort of magical fox with like antlers,
Yeah.
like a deer or something. And then you've got the elephants one, which I love this elephants picture, but you haven't published this one to your YouTube channel, have you?
Yeah, because I was insecure about posting it online, and I don't know why, and I still feel insecure about posting it.
You didn't like that one, okay. So I will throw one more video up. I've got a video of the self-portrait, which since the color didn't come in quite right, I thought it would be important to show the self-portrait one. So let's take a little look at the self-portrait one.
So I brought in reference images to show, from the side, like how the headset looked and how the obviously the controls looked. And I know how they look like, but still in VR, you wanna have a reference to see like what you're trying to make, and trying to make it as close as possible. And you can also bring out colors from the reference images. If I had a picture that I really wanted to use, and I didn't know what the color was, and I couldn't find the color, I just can import it from there to like pick up the color and then start drawing with it.
And so obviously we're watching the load in. Let me just turn the volume down slightly. Oops, I don't want it off. I thought that would do. So we're watching the project load in here rather than watching you paint it live. Did you use the mirror tool for this one?
No, I didn't use the mirror tool. Here I really wanted to go myself, to show that I can do without the mirror. That I can try to do something without the mirror, because the mirror helps to make it symmetrical. Because I'm standing like in this position. If I do it with the mirror, my hands will be like this. They'll be symmetrical.
Okay. And this is you painting the star for your jumper?
Yeah.
So why did you paint the stars separately, like on the floor, and then put it onto the jumper rather than paint it on the jumper directly?
Because you see, I have the white ribbons on my hoodie.
The pulls on your hoodie, yeah.
Out of it, the star would just go like the white ribbons will be like out of the star. So that's why I went out to make it and then put it back on top.
Okay, we're going to jump back onto your slides. We are coming to the end of our interview, Yasmin, but I do want to open it up to questions from the audience, if we have any questions from the audience. Guys, obviously, I've got you all on mute right now. If you have a question and you're in a headset, and if you want to put your hand up, I will unmute you. Carlos, I see your hand go straight up. I have unmuted you, but I think you're on mute.
Got it.
There you go.
All right, Yasmin, good afternoon or good evening.
Hi.
Great to see your presentation. I was curious, are you going to start, I mean, you're 11 years old. I mean, I don't even remember that age. But are you going to start going to art school, or how are you going to improve your knowledge of the work that you're
So for
working
VR
with?
art, I really watch Rosie Summers and Anna Dreambrush too, and many other VR artists, and see their techniques and how they do with it, how they use the tools, the brushes, and I try after I watch them. I try to go into back to Toothbrush and then start doing the same with them, practice, practice, and then I try to get the same.
Okay, so but
No.
what Carlos is asking you, Yasmin, is like you're only 11, but like what are your plans for the future? Like, do you want to go when you finish school? Do you want to try and do art at university? Do you want to be a professional artist, or is this just a hobby?
I want to become a professional artist, and when I grow up, I always want to go to a fashion school because I like drawing dresses, as you saw in my Toothbrush videos, and that's what I really want to do in future.
And what a nice convergence there, because you think about by the time she is leaving kind of university age, we're looking at she'll have a decade of experience using this technology, and you know, at that point you would imagine that there's a lot more integration of immersive technology in the design industry. Carlos, you got another question?
No, I just want to add on to that, Jasmine, if you're interested in fashion, there's another platform, and no offense to Engage, but it's called Sansar. It's owned by a company by the name of Wookie, and they just had about a week and a half ago a fashion show with the avatars and everything. If you're able to get back to the Vive, because you can't run Sansar on Quest, but I think you would just be mesmerized by the creativity of what the artists have created, and it would give you inspiration to start stepping out of things that you normally see on YouTube and stuff like that. You actually could probably find the fashion show on YouTube, as a matter of fact, on their channel.
I would tag on to that. You probably need to look at it on YouTube, Carlos. I've been trying to get Sansar to work here in the UAE since 2017, and it never works properly. I've been backwards and forwards with them so many times, and it's something to do with the way their servers are set up. But and I think at the moment you're not going to be in a position to get anywhere near a Vive, Yasmin. But I will send you some links. I know what Carlos is talking about. Sansar is a pretty stunning platform, and I definitely think that would be useful for you to look at. Craig, I can see your hand coming up. Let me. Craig, you're unmuted.
Hi, Yasmin. I just want to answer the complexity of
You're breaking up quite a lot, Craig.
I just want, how long did it take you, Yasmin, to make this?
Okay, so Craig's asking, how long did it take? How long do you normally spend on a piece of art, like for example your self-portrait here?
I spend 1 hour.
About an hour.
Yeah, because first I start sketching it out, laying it out, like building the shape of how I want it to become. Then I fill it in, or I can just start filling it in straight away. But first, obviously, I practiced to make it. I practiced how it's going to come out. So I practiced, and then I made it into shape and the volume that I want it to be.
Okay. So you're generally looking at about an hour. I've just realised I had one more video stacked up in my queue, so I'll put this one on as well. This is another of Yasmin's. This is Craig. I'm going to remute you. Yasmin, I've just muted you again for a second. Okay. Rosie, is that you with a question? I see your hand going up. Any other questions from the audience? Any questions? If oh, I can see a question from the back there. Is that Angelina? Where are you on my list? There you are. Angelina, you're live?
Yes, I mean, what do you need from us to support you?
I actually don't know.
what
Steve,
would you
what does she need from us to support her?
What, you know what? I actually don't know either. I don't know what she needs. She's a one-woman army. She's 11 years old and she's doing all this. I mean, obviously, I would say any exposure that you can help her with, any promotion of her YouTube channel and stuff like that, any driving anybody towards her content is always useful. So I would probably say yeah, that would be the most useful thing for her right now. Do you think?
Yeah.
More eyeballs on your content, more eyeballs on your work. All right, Rosie has got a question. Let me just, Angelina, I'll let you mute if you've done it yet. Okay, Rosie, you're unmuted.
Hey, what's your favorite brush, Yasmin?
My favorite brush is I don't know, I think it's called the Salvini. I use it for flowers, obviously, but I don't use it as much, but it's still my favorite
Yeah.
brush. See.
But because you mentioned there, like before, with the Africa one, you've changed your brush, haven't you?
Yeah.
This brush you can see here, this is the one that you tend to use more often now, yeah?
And now I use the brush that Anna uses because I found out that the brush really mixes colors together. So like if
Yeah,
I
it does,
use
yeah.
a bright color of peach and then I take a darker color, they will kind of like, combine together. It'll make like a shade.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like, hay color, like hay shade or like texture,
I understand, Joe.
combine together.
And you can see that's
Lovely.
what you've got. This indigo character is made from this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another question from Carlos. Yes, Carlos.
I was wondering, Rosie, could you guys do a collaboration where you paint in the same space?
That'd be amazing. I'd love that. You wouldn't be able to paint in the same space, but
you
we
wouldn't be
could
able to do it live.
each paint
And-
elements and then combine them.
For using Polly as the kind of conduit
Yeah.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yasmin, you
Yeah.
could start something, and then pass it over through Polly, pass it to Rosie, and Rosie could take it on and continue it.
That'd be
You'd like that, yeah?
amazing.
There you go.
Do it.
It's just
And
it's
I've
like
got one
it's not even
other thing.
lunchtime and our dreams are coming through. Yes, Carlos, sorry.
So Rosie, I know Google or Tiltbrush has some kind of program they push the artists that are involved with Tiltbrush. Is Jasmine part of that?
Are you
Yeah,
talking,
okay.
Carlos,
There's
the Artist
not
in
a
Residence
particular-
program?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've sort of disbanded that now.
Yeah, they have, haven't they?
But
Yeah.
do give a lot of support to artists. But yeah, I'm sure if you keep tagging them like Yasmin, they'll be all over you and keep on following your work.
I shared one of her pictures a couple of weeks ago on Twitter and tagged in Patrick Hackett, one of the guys, one
Oh,
of the two
great.
guys that created Tiltbrush, and
Yeah.
he gave it a like and a retweet. So yeah, you've definitely your
Nice
name's getting out there.
Get under their
Right.
radar.
Yeah. Right, guys, I am going to wrap things up there and let Yasmin jump out of VR and go and enjoy the rest of her day. Huge thank you to everyone for turning out for the event this morning, this evening, wherever you are in the world. It goes without saying, huge thank you to Yasmin.
You're welcome. I'm very thankful to be here, and I'm very thankful that you're all here.
And a huge thank you to Daniel and Angelina and the whole Students in VR team. Fantastic job. Do check out the rest of the schedule on the Students in VR website for events that are taking place throughout the rest of the day. And it would be remiss of me not to say the obvious, which is please do stay home, please stay safe. And I look forward to seeing a lot of you again sometime soon here inside Engage for the next events that I'll be hosting. So thank you. That's all from us. And we're going to wrap things up right there. Thank you.
Steve,
Thank you.
Steve,
So
can we do a picture of Rosie and Jasmine and you together?
we can, indeed.
Yeah.
I will unmute
come
everybody.
over
Hang
here.
Oh yeah. I'm very tall.
Yasmin, you want to shuffle along one seat? There we go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. 1, 2. Got it. One more for watch your arms. Look at how your arms are. There, that's nice. Nice and national. There it is. Beautiful. Got it. I will tweet it and you guys can download it or you can get in touch with me.
Thank
Chris
you, Carlos.
Madison has my contact info. Thank you.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Carlos. Right, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. We'll see you all soon.
See you later.
There's another event right after this.
Hi, Andre. Let's step over here out of earshot to not disturb anyone, and we can chat. Yeah, so your question is how do you host an event here? Oh, sorry, I think your audio just went out here. Give it just a second.
Sure.
All right, there we go. I can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So my question is, so we are looking into different possibilities to use VR in education for university, and so we are starting a VR education program. But the idea is not to use it in a classroom setting because then we can just observe in the classrooms, right?
Right.
The idea is to actually break open the whole classroom setting and explore the different scenarios, different environments with the students, whether it is for anthropology or for any other kind of social sciences. And I'm wondering to what extent the different experiences are customizable.
Hey there.
So if you have an educational license with us, then that allows you the ability to bring in your own content. Now, without a license, you can still bring in PowerPoint.
All right, Donna.
Bring in media.
Yes.
We have a
Okay, getting used to it a little bit.
Really nice because you can press it with
Yeah,
your keyboard
absolutely.
and go on tours.
Great.
So are you starting Anna's room?
I will start Anna's room if she doesn't start it, so I'm just monitoring. Haven't seen her yet.
Because it starts in 11 minutes. So,
Yep. Yep. I don't want to start it too early because I don't have her assets. So I don't want to open it and people can get in. And then it'd be not the room she wants. Do you know what I mean?
Yep,
So I'll give
do.
her until,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm monitoring the channels as well to see if there's been any communications from her.
Let me know when you see that.
Yeah, it's a quarter in right now.
Oh, I should probably tell you. You remember yesterday I mentioned that Julianne Smithson had an announcement from the VRA student committee.
Yep.
She's confirmed that Olivia will be joining us for the North America Open. And I'm just about to read an email about that now. I'm just going to say hi to Asha. Oh no, Anna. Hi, Anna.
Hi,
How's it
hello,
going?
hi. Hi, I'm
You
okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm just going to my space now, yeah?
Yeah?
Can
Okay,
just
if
go.
you're
Okay,
ready,
that's okay.
I'll
Yeah,
give
yeah,
you a few
okay.
minutes to set up, and then
Yeah.
I'll join you just to say hi, make sure everything's okay. Once you're up and running and live, I might jump out.
Okay.
But I will have my filming avatar in with you, and I will be able to hear you there. So if there's anything, you can just talk to Daniel. I'll hear it on my earpiece, and then I can come and help you.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Enjoy it.
See
Have
you.
a
Bye.
good time.
Bye.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant.
All right.
So I can actually.
So Anna's going to set up now, and I'm going to
Somebody sitting in there.
get that live stream set up as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I actually even I move up a little when I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Yeah, that's great stuff. So Chris, you're saying if so we are now a team of 4 people working on it, and so we are first exploring a little bit what.
Now, okay. So just for your heads up, Julie has suggested that Olivia speaks 10 to 15 minutes about this. I don't think it's going to be 10 to 15 minutes. I think 5 tops 8 minutes. Otherwise, it becomes a takeover.
Here?
Yeah.
Now.
Okay.
You understood? So
Yep.
for the North American opening,
Yep.
I think I'll say hi, Olivia. Yeah, we'll give you 8 minutes and keep it hard.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just becomes.
Yeah, and that works good with Angelina's thing because she does not have 30 minutes of content,
Perfect.
right? Like,
Okay.
so that actually works really well.
There you go. Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Let me pull up my business card here. Hang on 1 sec.
I can also just give you my email address if you like.
See, Chris should be awake more times at this time of night.
Why is that?
He's just doing business over there.
Oh, he can't, like, we were having a joint lament about how many balls we're dropping because there's just so much going on.
Okay, I took the picture. That's fine. Thanks.
Excellent.
Great.
And so let me tell you how to retrieve that picture. Once you hook it up, do you use SideQuest?
Yes, I do use SideQuest. Yeah.
Great. So just go into your file manager in SideQuest. You're going to find your pictures in Documents, Engage, My Pictures.
Okay, excellent. I need to take another picture. I think I took a picture of you rather than of the.
Oh,
of the car.
go
One
ahead.
sec,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, now I got it. Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Great.
Thanks for that. Well, then I will explore a little further. Thanks a lot for your time.
Absolutely. I'd be glad to give you a hands-on tour. Whatever you need from me, just let me know.
Lovely. Thanks a lot. I will explore a little today, and then I think the next time we'll join in team, and I will be in touch with you via email, and we'll see what we can set up.
Sounds great. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. Thanks. That's really working well. By the way, compliments to your design team.
Oh, thank
The
you.
experience of presence is really working well.
Great. Thank you. I love to hear that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, and have a
All
good
right.
day.
You too. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Sir Daniel.
Hi.
Okay, I am. Are you okay? Everything seems to be running pretty smooth now.
I think
Are we
we're
good?
okay so far. We got good company here, and yeah, I think so.
Cool. Just keep an eyeball on the number of people joining this room. It looks like you're up to 38 or
Good point.
something crazy like that. Yeah.
Well, that's actually good question. Good point. I was gonna ask is, let me just
There's
bring
no
that up
limit.
here.
There's no limit. It's just that issue of having to manually move them after 50.
So when you say there's no limit, it means that after
That
the
number
50,
will just keep going up and up and up. But at 50, it just kicks it in. We need to fix it. Just a
Yeah.
bug we just discovered as people are
I'll
holding
keep an eye on it.
larger
I'll keep an eye on
events. Yeah, cool.
Okay,
And
cool.
let me just
And
do
that
one
happens.
last check
So
on the schedule.
so 50 applies to the 50 names. It doesn't mean there's 50 bodies in the room, but there's
Right.
50 people assigned. And if there's
Mhm.
people waiting, but there's 3 people in the room, then I just go and take them from waiting to attend.
Yeah, you just
or
need to move
confirm.
them from waiting over.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Gotcha.
I'm not worried about you going over 50 bodies in this room at
No,
any given
no.
time. You're going to be fine.
Exactly. Okay, cool.